Om Akhandamandalakaram Yaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Harihi Om. Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaatatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Purida Janaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. Welcome to this 54th week of readings and reflections, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We read from the book translated by Swami Nikhilananji. It's a one volume that appeared in Bengali as 5 volumes. We are now beginning a new chapter, chapter 11, with the devotees at Dakshineswar, part 1, page 230. Monday, June 4th, 1883. About 9 o'clock in the morning, the devotees began to arrive at the temple garden. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the porch of his room facing the Ganges. M, who had spent the previous night with the master, sat near him. Balaram and several other devotees were present. Rakal lay on the floor, resting his head on the master's lap. For the past few days, the master had been regarding Rakal as the baby Krishna. Seeing Trailokya passing on his way to the Kali temple, Sri Ramakrishna asked Rakal to get up. Trailokya bowed to the master. Master to Trailokya, was there no Jatra performance last night? Trailokya, no sir. We couldn't conveniently arrange it. Master, what is done. But please see that this doesn't happen again. The traditions of the temple should be properly observed. Trailokya gave a suitable reply and went on his way. After a while, Ram Chatterjee, the priest of the Vishnu temple, came up to Sri Ramakrishna. Master, well, Ram, I told Trailokya that the Jatra performance should not be omitted again. Was I right in saying that? Ram, what of it, sir? Of course you are right. The tradition should be observed. The master asked Balaram to stay for his midday meal. Before the meal, Sri Ramakrishna described to the devotees the days of his god intoxication. Rakal, M, Ramlal, and a few others were present. Master, now and then, Hazra comes forward to teach me. He says to me, why do you think so much about the youngsters? One day, as I was going to Balaram's house in a carriage, I felt greatly troubled about it. I said to the Divine Mother, Mother, Hazra admonishes me for worrying about Narendra and the other young boys. He asks me why I forget God and think about these youngsters. No sooner did this thought arise in my mind than the Divine Mother revealed to me in a flash that it is she herself who has become man. But she manifests herself most clearly through a pure soul. At this vision, I went into Samadhi. Afterwards, I felt angry with Hazra. I said to myself, that rascal made me miserable. Then I thought, but why should I blame the poor man? How is he to know? I know these youngsters to be Narayana himself. At my first meeting with Narendra, I found him completely indifferent to his body. When I touched his chest with my hand, he lost consciousness of the outer world. Regaining consciousness, Narendra said, oh, What have you done to me? I have my father and mother at home. The same thing happened at Jadu Mallik's house. As the days passed, I longed more and more to see him. My heart yearned for him. One day, at that time, I said to Bholanath, Bholanath is a clerk at the Dakshineshwar temple garden, later became a treasurer. Can you tell me why I should feel this way? There is a boy called Narendra of the Kayastha caste. Why should I feel so restless for him? Bholanath said, you will find the explanation in the Mahabharata. On coming down to the plane of ordinary consciousness, a man established in Samadhi enjoys himself in the company of sattvic people. He feels peace of mind at the sight of such men. When I heard this, my mind was set at ease. Now and then, I would sit alone and weep for the sight of Narendra. Oh, what a state of mind I passed through. When I first had that experience, I could not perceive the coming and going of day or night. People said I was insane. What else could they say? They made me marry. I was then in a state of God intoxication. At first, I felt worried about my wife. Then I thought she too would eat and drink and live like me. I visited my father-in-law's house. They arranged a kirtan. It was a great religious festival, and there was much singing of God's holy name. Now and then, I would wonder about my future. I would say to the Divine Mother, Mother, I shall take my spiritual experiences to be real if the landlords of the country show me respect. They too came of their own accord and talked with me. Oh, what an ecstatic state it was. Even the slightest suggestion would awaken my spiritual consciousness. I worship the beautiful in a girl 14 years old. I saw that she was the personification of the Divine Mother. At the end of the worship, I bowed before her and offered a rupee at her feet. One day, I witnessed a Ramlila performance. I saw the performers to be actual Sita, Rama, Lakshmana, Hanuman, and Vibhishana. Then I worshipped the actors and actresses who played those parts. At that time, I used to invite maidens here and worship them. I found them to be embodiments of the Divine Mother herself. One day, I saw a woman in blue standing near the bakul tree. She was a prostitute, but she instantly kindled in me the vision of Sita. I forgot the woman. I saw that it was Sita herself on her way to meet Rama after her rescue from Ravana in Silo. For a long time, I remained in Samadhi, unconscious of the outer world. Another day, I had gone to the Maidan in Calcutta for fresh air. A great crowd had assembled there to watch a balloon ascension. Suddenly, I saw an English boy leaning against a tree. As he stood there, his body was bent in 3 places. The vision of Krishna came before me in a flash. I went into Samadhi. Once at Shihor, I fed the cowherd boys. I put sweetmeats into their hands. I saw that these boys were actually the cowherd boys of Vrindavan, and I partook of the sweetmeats from their hands. At that time, I was almost unconscious of the outer world. Mathur Babu kept me at his Zanbazar mansion a few days. While living there, I regarded myself as the handmaid of the Divine Mother. The ladies of the house didn't feel at all bashful with me. They felt as free before me as women feel before a small boy or girl. I used to escort Mathur's daughter to her husband's chamber with the maidservant. Even now, the slightest thing awakens God consciousness in me. Rakhal used to repeat the name of God half aloud, At such times, I couldn't control myself. It would rouse my spiritual consciousness and overwhelm me. Sri Ramakrishna went on describing the different experiences he had had while worshipping the Divine Mother as her handmaid. He said, once I imitated a professional woman singer for a man singer. He said my acting was quite correct and asked me where I had learnt it. The master repeated his imitation for the devotees and they burst into laughter. After his noon meal, the master took a short rest. Manilal Malik, an old member of the Brahma Samaj, entered the room and sat down after saluting the master, who was still lying on his bed. Manilal asked him questions now and then, and the master, still half asleep, answered with a word or two. Manilal said that Shivanath admired Nityagopal's spiritual state. The master asked in a sleepy tone what they thought of Hazra. Then Sri Ramakrishna sat up on his bed and told Manilal about Bhavana's devotion to God. Master, ah, what an exalted state he is in. He has hardly begun to sing about God before his eyes filled with tears. The very sight of Harish made him ecstatic. He said that Harish was very lucky. He made the remark because Harish was spending a few days here, now and then, away from his home. Sri Ramakrishna asked him, well, what is the cause of bhakti? Why should the spiritual feeling of young boys like Bhavanath be awakened? Yam remained silent. Master, the fact is, all men may look alike from the outside, but some of them have fillings of condensed milk. Cakes may have fillings of condensed milk or powdered black grams, but they all look alike from the outside. The desire to know God, ecstatic love of Him, and such other spiritual qualities are the condensed milk. Sri Ramakrishna spoke reassuringly to the devotees. Master to Yam, some think, oh, I am bound soul, I shall never acquire knowledge and devotion. But if one receives the Guru's grace, one has nothing to fear. Once a tigress attacked a flock of goats. As she sprang on her prey, she gave birth to a cub and died. The cub grew up in the company of the goats. The goats ate grass, and the cub followed their example. They bleated, the cub bleated too. Gradually, it grew to be a big tiger. One day, another tiger attacked the same flock. It was amazed to see the grass-eating tiger. Running after it, the wild tiger at last seized it, whereupon the grass-eating tiger began to bleat. The wild tiger dragged it to the water and said, look at your face in the water. It is just like mine. Here is a little meat. Eat it. Saying this, it thrust some meat into its mouth. But the grass-eating tiger would not swallow it and began to bleat again. Gradually, however, it got the taste for blood and came to release the meat. Then the wild tiger said, now you see, there is no difference between you and me. Come along and follow me into the forest. So, there can be no fear if the Guru's grace descends on one. He will let you know who you are and what your real nature is. If the devotee practices spiritual discipline a little, the Guru explains everything to him. Then the disciple understands for himself what is real and what is unreal. God alone is real and the world is illusory. So welcome devotees and friends. We are beginning the 11th chapter of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The conversation recorded here by Mahendranath Gupta is dated Monday, June 4th, 1883. Actually, on June 3rd, there was a very big function at the Dakshineswar temple. It was a Kali temple, so anything associated with Kali is all done in that temple. Only one day before, that is on June 3rd, it was a Phalarani Kalika Puja day. So naturally, lot of people had come there. They sat there and enjoyed the puja and other things. So Dakshineswar was full of people. People coming and going, having darshan of Mother Bhavatarini, and then coming to Sri Ramakrishna also. Sri Ramakrishna was in a joyous mood. See, from the talks that we see here, today the passage showed us how Sri Ramakrishna was full of remembering or nostalgic about his experiences during his sadhana period. So, in Ramakrishna's life, we find a period of sadhana and a post-sadhana period. So, the two divisions, if you make, then you can understand. And during the post-sadhana period, that is when he was at Dakshineswar and devotees started coming, you can see that how he is going nostalgic about the olden days when he used to have such experiences. And those experiences he would like to share with the devotees or with whom he will share. So naturally, he also required the devotees there. And the devotees came one after another, uncalled for. Only thing, he did not call them by name or asking them to come to Dakshineswar. He would tell Mother Kali, she would go up on the terrace of his room and then he would shout there, the day is passing, now the dusk is come and then it is all dark now. Oh, Ma Kali, where are the children? Where are the people who can listen to me? I am having so many experiences, I cannot share with anybody. So please send me such sattvic children. Like that, he used to shout from the terrace, oh, ye children, where are you? Like that, he used to shout. And that happened after some years. It is not immediately the devotees came or these boys came, as he used to call them boys, because they were only 17, 16-year-old boys. So naturally, they are boys. And these boys came one by one. And before their coming also, Mother Kali used to show to Sri Ramakrishna, tomorrow who is coming. So likewise, Rakhal came, Naren came, and so many other boys came, and so many other devotees also came. All of them, so devotees also, he knew whether they are going to come or not. So one by one they came, and he could share his wonderful nostalgic experiences. So this was next day to Phalarani Kalika Puja. So there is a tradition in the temple that on the night of the Phalarani Kalika Puja, many people would be coming and people would sit for the whole night. See, if you go for a Kali Puja, and in those days, Kali Puja, either Phalarani Kalika Puja or the Diwali night Kali Puja, both these pujas are done on the Amavasya night. So the whole night is devoted for the puja. So the whole night people have to sit and they have to attend the program. So if you attend the program, many people, because of the habit of sleeping in the night, they fall into sleep. So once puja is going on quietly, you'll find people will start sleeping and they will doze off. So to prevent that, this temple management decided to have certain functions, certain entertainment functions as well as some nice functions where your mind can be fixed on Mother Kali. Say for instance, bhajans or some kathak who comes and gives you the stories from the Puranas or jatras. The jatra, as in Bengali it is called jatras. In English, of course, we use Y, yatra we write. So whatever other pronounce yatra or jatra, but this jatra is a street dramas. That means these dramas do not have any stage and they do not have any background screens, etc. So 5, 6 people will be dressed. Suppose a Ramayana is done. Somebody is dressed up as Ram, somebody as Sita, somebody as Vibhishana, like that. Now they will come into that simply in the center of the place where all the people are sitting. They look at them and they will play the drama. Now this drama doesn't have any background, curtains, and anything unnaturally that you make the stage, etc. Nothing is there. So this is called jatra. The jatras are very efficient and very well done in the villages, particularly in the cities, etc. Very difficult to conduct such type of jatras. But this jatra has been taken to a highest class of dramatics. Actually, when we do some research on these jatras, we find how they took it to the height of that, without any background, music, etc. These actors created such an atmosphere, such intense atmosphere. Somebody is sitting in the audience, and when Sri Ramakrishna says in one place, when the audience was there, the jatra was going on, so Ravana comes and he wants to take away Sita. So he's abducting her. Now that is the scene depicted there. One fellow in the audience, he got up and threw his sandals, at Ravana. You rascal, how do you take my mother Sita? That means you can understand how intensely people can feel what is happening there. It's only a drama, but then people can have such wonderful, intense feeling. The jatras, actors and actresses, they've actually formed a separate class of themselves. Sometimes the man who is acting as Rama, he will go behind. 2, 3 people are sitting there, he'll go behind and sit on a rock, and then he'll be smoking beedi there. So somebody will see, hey, Ram is smoking like that. Such fun also is done in the village side. So these drama people, these jatras, they are very wonderful. So in Dakshineswar, on the night, they used to have a jatra every year. When Rani Rashmani established this temple, from that time onwards, the jatra is one of the part of this function. Now yesterday, Sri Ramakrishna was fond of this, whether the jatra was done, and he found out yesterday there was no jatra. Somehow it was cancelled, and he was sitting on the porch looking at the Ganges, and he was looking at them. At that time, Yam was there with him, and Balaram and others also came. They were all sitting with him only. Suddenly, Trailokya comes. Trailokya is not that Trailokya Shen, that who was the leader of the Brahma Samaj, who is the singer of Brahma Samaj. Not that Trailokya. This is another Trailokya, who is the son-in-law of Mother Rani Rasmani. So Rani Rasmani's son-in-law, after Mathur Babu's death, this boy, that is Trailokya, he became the manager of the mutt. So a manager means he has to attend to all these things, and these functions also he has to see, and everything goes on according to the tradition. It is his duty to see. So this Trailokya came suddenly. He was going to Mother's temple. On the way, he saw Master sitting there. Since he knows Master, and he knows that how much his father and also his mother-in-law, that is Rani Rasmani, they adored Sri Ramakrishna. So all the stories he knows. So naturally, when he met Sri Ramakrishna, he can't just bypass and then go away, So he came to him and made salutations. Very good. But where he did not expect that Ramakrishna would touch, that point only Ramakrishna raised to him. He simply caught him. What happened to the yesterday's night's jatra? Why it was not done? So he asked, was there no jatra performance last night? He's asking. So, and now Trailokya, what do you have to say? He says, no, sir. He had to accept, yes, it was not there. And then we could not conveniently arrange it. So, being a manager, there might have been some genuine problems also. Say the jatra actors, they did not turn up, or the musicians did not turn up, or somebody got sick, etc. So there are so many reasons could be there, or they did not pay them correctly, etc. So many other reasons may be there. So the jatra did not happen. So you explain to him. So Master, it seems, understood the reasons Trailokya told. So it must be a genuine reason. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says, what is done is done. Okay, let it go. But you see that this tradition is followed in future. Then Trailokya says, yes, sir. And then he went away. Then Ram comes. Ram is another pujari of the Vishnu temple. So he comes. So Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna's childlike nature, you can see here. There are many instances of his childlike nature that in gospel we find. He himself says that how he was like a child, and everybody laughs at his childishness. And though he is a Paramahansa who goes into samadhi again and again, muvurmugu, again and again he goes into samadhi. And anything you talk about God, he goes into samadhi. That person just acts like a 5-year-old boy. Now you can understand when in that age, about 45, 46 age person, that person is acting like a small child, naturally people will laugh at him. So they just enjoy that fun. So he's like that. So the childlike simplicity that comes out in Sri Ramakrishna many places. So here also you'll find when Ram came, he asked, I told Trailokya that why the Jatra was not done. Did I ask correctly? Was it right? Like that he's asking to verify from Ram whether his action was right. Ram says very clearly, says, what of it, sir? What is the matter? Of course you are right. He says, the tradition should be observed. That is what you told. Whatever the tradition is there, that should be observed, that you said. So it's quite right, the rightful thing. And he was the relief. Like that you find in many places, he would ask him, or he would ask him a Nare, and he would ask somebody else that whoever sitting next to him, sir, did I speak like that? Was it all right? Sometimes he talks to Hazra. Hazra will come and tell him. Hazra is a Vedanti, as you have seen, that Hazra will always come and even teach Ramakrishna. And he doesn't have that type of sadhana as done by Sri Ramakrishna. But still, because he is a Vedantin Jnana Yogi and he has read scriptures, so he can just fire out, all those sutras, slokas, etc. he can say. And he can come and reel out all those things to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna was little afraid of Hazra because he would come and tell him and go on criticize him also. So, and he started telling one bad thing to him. What was the thing? He called one day to Sri Ramakrishna and said, oh, Ramakrishna, he said, I don't know, Hazra, how does he address Sri Ramakrishna? He says, why do you think so much about the youngsters? See, when I come to you and sit with you, and I'm telling about the high Vedantic thoughts, and you are talking about Naren and these youngsters, why do you think about them? Instead of that, you think about God. Like that he is telling. Because he's a Vedantin, he speaks like that. So now, Sri Ramakrishna says, I felt greatly disturbed. That is what how the childishness comes here, you see. The childlike, he says. So he went to the Divine Mother. That is the only solution Sri Ramakrishna has. If anybody says and try to confuse his mind, the thoughts, the course of his thoughts, then what he would do to confirm whether he is correct or not, he would just go to Mother. So at that time, nobody was there. Neither Ram, that Vishnu temple Pujari was there, neither Yam was there. So what he did, he straightaway went to Mother. Even in Totapuri's case, we find Totapuri told, you see, I have come to teach you this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, this Jnana Yoga. I want to teach you. Come with me. He said, no, I have to ask my mother. Mother? So he was also surprised, a 40-year-old man at that time. So you have to go and ask mother for this sadhana. He said, yes, I have to go and ask mother. And then Totapuri was looking at him and he's going there. Where does he go? He didn't go to Nahabad, where his biological mother is there. Chandramani Devi is staying there. Totapuri knows that his mother is staying there. But instead of going to Nahabad, he is going to the temple side. Then Totapuri was following him. Where does he go? And he went inside the temple. After some time, he came back. He said, yes, Okay, no problem. I will learn under you. You teach me. Said, did you talk to your mother? Said, yes. I went to my mother and I asked her. She told me, Arey, I only sent him for you only. So go and learn that. She told. Then Totapuri understood that he went to Mother Kali. Because Mother Kali, for Totapuri, it was only statue. But not for Sri Ramakrishna. You see, for him, she is a living personality. So, like that, he would ask. So, this time also, he went and told Mother, Azra is troubling me like this. So, what do I do? What did the Divine Mother reveal to him in a flash? She herself has become man. She manifests herself most clearly through a pure soul. At this vision, I went into Samadhi. That is the beauty of Sri Ramakrishna's sadhana. He has done so much sadhana. This Samadhi is one of the 8 limbs of Raja Yoga. So we all know how the Raja Yoga, is an explanation given by Swamiji, and it is called Ashtanga Yoga. That means 8 parts of yoga. It is called Ashtanga Yoga. There, the last step, the culminating step is called Samadhi. It starts with Yama, Niyama, etc. and then goes up to Samadhi. And Sri Ramakrishna has already attained Samadhi after practicing Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. He has already reached Samadhi state. And again he can go into Samadhi at his will. That person, now the sadhana period is over. Now even while recollecting those things, he goes into Samadhi. So for going into Samadhi, he doesn't need to go into all the 7 parts, 7 angas like earlier, because Samadhi has become his second nature. It's like a habit. So for him, so that is what he did. And when the vision was shown by Mother Kali that she has become everything, this man, this boy, this everything she has become. And then she is more resplendent. She is more visible in a pure soul. And what are these boys? These boys are absolutely pure soul. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says, I know these youngsters are to be Narayana himself. Narayana himself. Can you imagine that a person, we say that God is everywhere, he is prevalent everywhere, but are we able to see God in everyone? No. But for Sri Ramakrishna, it was a fact. He did not believe this. It was a faith of him that he said that, yes, Narayana has become all this man and four. The whole entire universe has become. So where is Narayana? Is the question asked in the ancient times. The rishis asked the question. So where is Narayana? So people say that Narayana is in Vaikuntha. That's a very good answer. Yes, that's. But then Narayana is there everywhere. That is why his name is Vishnu. So in Sanskrit, Vishnu means Vyaptatvat Vishnu. Vyaptatvat means all pervading. Everywhere he is. Not a single place is there where he is not there. That is what Hiranyakashipu asked his son, Prahlad. You are talking about Narayana, 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 Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. Where is Vishnu? Tell me. In Tamil, there is a beautiful statement Prahlad replied. Thunilum irpan, Turumbilum irpan. See the alliteration. Tu comes it there. Thunilum irpan, Turumbilum irpan. Meaning that Narayana is in this pillar. It's a palace. In the palace, lots of pillars are there, naturally. Pillars are made in the palace. And he said, in this pillar, and also in the dust particle. So he showed, Prahlada showed, in that pillar also is there, in the particle also is there. But in the dust particle is so tiny, like a small bacteria, you can't even see. So what Hiranyakashipu did, he went straight to the pillar. If he is in pillar, let him show me. So he gave a very good kick. He was a great, strong man. So he gave a kick and the pillar broke. So at that time, Narayana appeared. Vishnu appeared in the form of Nrsimha. That is Narasimha, it says. So Nara and Simha. If you combine these two, then it becomes Narasimha. Or in Sanskrit, it's called Nrsimha. Nr means Nara. So Nrsimha also you can say. So the Narasimha darshan he gave to Prahlad as well as to his father. So that he is everywhere. You see, we can go on testing him like that. Even we also can test. If you don't believe that God resides in everyone, so you can test. Try to find out, test, and see that whether God is showing proof or not. And only problem is we do not go to test. See, we believe. So our parents have told us, our elders have told us, our gurus have told us. So we believe that. That belief has not yet become faith in us. What is faith and what is belief? So I discussed this point with the devotees in Edinburgh recently. On online talk I was telling. So one gentleman asked me, he's a doctor. He asked, what is the difference between belief and faith? This is the difference. A matured belief becomes faith. In faith, there is no question of disturbance. There is no question of going back to rethink. There is no second thought to be done. That is called faith. In belief, all these experiments can go on and go on and go on till it matures into what is called faith. So you can say that how a faith, in Sanskrit, if you have to say, faith is what is called Shraddha. So in Kathopanishad, we know that the famous statements from Swami Vivekananda quotes in Jnana Yoga, Shraddha Avivesha. That is what the Upanishad says. So in Nachiketa's mind, Shraddha entered into, that is how they put it. So it is not a belief. The Shraddha came into him. The faith came into him. Faith in the words of Lord Yama. What Lord Yama is going to tell me, he is like a guru. I have asked a question, he is going to reply to me. And the Shraddha came into him. And he was fit enough to receive that truth that Yama had to say. So this Shraddha is called faith. But belief is, you just think, yes, it can be okay, but it may not be also. If you believe something and somebody comes and tells you, no, it is not like that. I have gone to that place and seen, there's nothing like that. If anybody says, your belief can be changed. But when you have faith, that cannot be changed. If it changes, it has not yet attained to the level of faith. That is Shraddha. It is still in the level of belief only. So, Sri Ramakrishna had this complete faith in the words of Mother. And in the scenes that he is looking, whenever he sees Mother Kali and he experiences that, he knows, yes, what Mother Kali says is correct. There is no question of rethinking on that. Whatever Hazra may say later, it doesn't matter for him. So he says that she, the Narayana who has become in everyone, he is more visible or more tangible in whom? If Narayana is there everywhere, in everyone, so is he tangible in everyone? If you ask me, so Sri Ramakrishna gives the answer, no. He is tangible only in pure souls. So he says that this Hazra, he says about Hazra, that I said to myself, that rascal made me miserable. And then after asking Mother Kali, it became the doubt was gone. Then I thought, and he became little compassionate to Hazra. After all, what he knows. He doesn't have that sadhana, to go and ask Mother Kali. Though he is sitting in Mother Kali's temple. And he talks about Vedanta only. But he's not talking about Bhakti. So, only about Jnana he will talk. Now he says, what he knows, okay, it's all right. So he has excused him. Now he says to the devotees, why should I love these youngsters? Because Yam is there. Then Ramlal is there. Balaram has come. They are all elderly people. And only Rakal is there on that day. Vivek, there is Narendra has not come. So he's telling, why do I love Narendra? Because You know, when I first saw him, I saw a wonderful quality in him. He looked like he doesn't have body consciousness. Can you imagine? A person without body consciousness can move around like that. When Naren came and sat in front of him, and Sri Ramakrishna looked at him, and then Ram Babu was there next to him. Ram Babu said, he's related to Naren. So he told Naren, please sing a song. And he sang that wonderful song, Cholomon Nijo Niketane. That's a beautiful song. And he sang that, and Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi. But he has seen Naren. He has looked at him. Later, when he came to Dakshineswar, also he saw him. So both the times, not only there, in Jadu Babu's house also he saw him. 3 times he has seen Naren. And first 3 times, he found Naren had no body consciousness. His mind went up and up. Even the presence of Ramakrishna, that took his mind away from the body. So when you are away from your body consciousness, what has happened to you? The sattva guna in you has become predominant. So we see that how this sattva guna can be so clear, and rajoguna is muddied, and tamoguna is complete. You can't see the water and the mud difference. So this clear, where the clear water is there, you can actually see whatever is there under the water. So sattva guna comes out. When it is predominant in a person, then the God's glory manifests there more. That's why Swami Vivekananda was like that. He was absolutely like that. And then he says, at that time I said to Bholanath, Bholanath also came one day during that time when he saw Naren as Narayana himself. At that time he said to Bholanath, can you tell me why I should feel this way? There is a boy called Narendra of the Kayastha caste. Sri Ramakrishna was born in a Brahmin caste. So Kayastha caste is considered as the next caste. So he says, that boy comes to here, and why should I feel restless for him? He's asking Bholanath, like a small boy, That's why I've told you this boyishness of the childishness of Ramakrishna comes at different places. And he tells him, Bholanath said, you will find the explanation in Mahabharata. So he simply quoted Mahabharata, So he said, what is written in Mahabharata? Mahabharata was written by Vyasadeva, you all know that. So Vyasa wrote that story, and in that story he brings out a beautiful state of samadhi. So when he explains samadhi, he says, a person can go into samadhi and stay there. If he is an ordinary jiva, that jiva can stay in nirvikalpa samadhi for 21 days. After that, that person will leave the body, so he will die. In other words, he will die. So a person will die after 21 days. But if he is not an ordinary jiva like us, if you do sadhana and you get samadhi and you go into nirvikalpa samadhi, your body can stay 21 days. Okay. But then if you are not a sadhaka, if you are already a siddha purusha or an avatara purusha, then you can go into samadhi and come back also. How they can come back? Sri Ramakrishna says that once you go into samadhi, then little small, very, very minutest trace of ego is kept. And holding that, they will come back to the body consciousness. That is wonderful way of explaining that how a person who has reached samadhi level can bring his mind back to the body level. So he says that he comes back for what? For the welfare of others. And Sri Ramakrishna gives the quote of Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya attained Mahasamadhi, but then he went into Samadhi again and again. But he would not come if he wanted, but then he came again and again from his Samadhi for the very purpose of teaching. So he had a trace of teaching ego. So the ego also is, different types of egos are there. So he held on to the teaching ego so he could come back and teach people. So likewise, great people like Chaitanya Dev, when they go into samadhi, they can come back. So Sri Ramakrishna is like that. So he comes back again and again. And when you come back, the Mahabharata says that when you come back, you require a company. You can't be all alone. During the sadhana period, you can be all alone. You cut off yourself, isolate yourself from everything outside things. Don't get your mind distracted. Okay. But when you come back from samadhi, you thirst for a company. And that company has to be pure souls, sattvic, predominant souls. If any tamasic soul comes there, if any rajasic person comes there, extreme pain happens. Extreme pain. This can be experienced even at dhyana stage. Dhyana is the lower stage of samadhi. You know that. Even at dhyana stage, Swami Madhavananji used to tell us. I have heard from our Pujari Maharaj. So Arkananji used to tell me that how Madhavananji in Belur Math, after the arati is over, all the room lights will be off. None of the monks' room's light can be put on. You have to go and sit for meditation. The whole Belur Math is sitting on meditation. You can think. Say if 200 Swamis are there, all of them are sitting and meditating at different places. Nowhere big lights are there. Because devotees are taken away. All the devotees who come for the arati, they will have to go back. That's why that bell man comes and he gives the bell and he'll go on telling people, please, please move on, move on, move on. And all will go away. So by 7:30 or so, the Belur Math is empty of the outside people. Only monks and brahmacharis remain there. And they sit there and they meditate. At that time, somewhere at a great distance, beyond the borders of Ganges, some sound is there. That sound can be heard. If a pin is dropped, you can hear the pins dropping sound. At that time, if anything falls down, say a vessel falls down, a cup falls down and breaks, that sound will be a terrible sound like a thunder, and that will disturb. So Madhanaji used to tell our Swamis, you see, don't make any such noise. When we all meditate, Sri Ramakrishna comes out from the temple and he walks around and he rejoices that his children are praying now and they are meditating. And he is not accustomed to such big sounds. So don't make sound. Even walking should be absolutely soft pedals only you have to keep. So in this way, they found even in dhyana state, if a sound is coming from outside that disturbs you, that actually is like a sharp pin on your heart. If that is so, think of a person who goes into samadhi. And from the samadhi states, he descends. So a tamasic predominated person comes to him. For instance, he cannot accept that. He cannot stay with him. A rajasic person comes and he tells about his, the future plans, etc. Now, Sri Ramakrishna cannot listen to him. So one day, he goes and cries before mother. Says, oh, Ma Kali, I am shedding tears to you because by shedding tears only you can attract mother's grace. So he sheds tears and he tells, we all have to shed tears if you want to see her. Without tears, you can't get her. And he used to shed tears and tell her, oh, Ma Kali, my ears are burning by listening to the worldly talk of the worldly people. That's what he says. How can I tolerate this? Worldly people are coming and they have got hundreds of worldly desires and they are talking to me all those things, and with that my ears are burning, he says. That means you can understand, if sattvic predominated people come, what happens to that person? He is happy. He can share. So today that we find June 1883, Sri Ramakrishna had such sattvic predominant people were there. So he could share with them his nostalgic experiences. And he says, after hearing from Bholanath, he became, as a child, he became satisfied. He said, my mind was set at ease, he says. Now and then, I would sit alone and weep for the sight of Narendra. So when Narendra will come, he has gone back to his home. He has got home, he has got parents, and he is studying. He's got so many duties are there. I know that. But then I want to see him again and again. Where is Narendra? So I used to alone sit and then weep, he says. See, what a great attraction. This bondage between the Guru and Sishya is something incomparable. When you read The Great Master, written by Swami Sardananda, there one special chapter is devoted for the relationship between Sri Ramakrishna, the Guru, and Swami Vivekananda, the disciple. The Guru-disciple relationship, he traces, and in a methodically way, he writes, Sardananda writes, and he traces the relationship, the glory of this relationship. What way that he writes, it you cannot just imagine. Such close relationship between Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. And Vivekananda also, when he speaks about his master, he is overwhelmed. Somebody asked him, please write about the life of your master. He said, no, I cannot. The moment I think of my master, I go into overwhelming mood. I cannot write. And that's so Swami Sardananda had to write that, He did not write. So even the book that was written by Max Muller on Sri Ramakrishna, the first draft was seen by Swami Sardananda. He could not go through. He says, whenever I think of Master, my mind is taken away from this ordinary Jagat. See, that is that. Mind is always kept on high level. Can you imagine that Sri Ramakrishna Swamiji's that experience in New York station, where he was standing, and then in the balustrade he has kept his hand and is looking down below the street, and hundreds of people are coming and going, and he's looking at them and smilingly seeing them. His eyes are somewhere, of course, fixed there, but as if his mind is somewhere else. So the lady who was standing next to him, she asked, Swamiji, you are amused at the dress, makeup of these people there? Swamiji looked at her. At that time only he came into his body level, conscious. Said, what are you asking? What are you telling? I'm looking at the one Chaitanya moving in different forms. So Swamiji had that. He used to look everything as Chaitanya, as consciousness. In a bhakti way to put it, as Narayana. Oneself being completely transferred into another person. That person is Narayana. If you want to see someone as Narayana, you must also rise to the level of getting into the experience of yourself, Narayana. So how do you worship? It's a Devam Yajet. There is a statement. So go and worship a Devata. So you cannot worship a Devata by being a human. If you want to adore a Devata, you must become Devata. So how do you? Devam Bhaved. Then you can do Devam Yajet. So this Bhava and Yaja, these two are important. So one must become God to worship God. That's why in puja, etc., with ritualistic puja, we are all taught that way, that a time comes in the puja, a stage comes where you imagine that Lord, where I'm thinking that He is outside, He is no more outside, He has come and within me He is staying. So it is when He has come inside me, what I should do? I should do puja to Him. But I am doing all the pujas externally. That is not enough. So now I must do mental puja. Since He has come, I have brought to Him. I have brought Him into my heart. So I must do some puja. That internally I must do the puja. This is called Manasa Puja. The Shiva Manasa Puja Stotram is very famous. From that only we take the ideas. How the Manasa Puja goes there. what you are offering as water, what you are offering as a charmer, what you are offering as a deepa, what you are offering as a Nivedita. Your mere sleep becomes your samadhi, and your walking becomes a pilgrimage. So all those ideas are there in the Shiva Manasa Puja Stotram. When you have time, you can please go through it. It's a beautiful sloka. So that gives us that one must invoke the deity within himself. Then when he opens his eyes, he will be able to see that deity everywhere. Whether you call it Rama or Narayana or Krishna, whatever deity you take, or Mother Kali. But whatever deity may be there, whatever name you have it, but then that God intoxicated stage has to come. In that state, you will see everything God, nothing but God. That's what he says. And he says, what a state of mind I had in those days. When I first had that experience, I could not perceive the coming and going of day and night, he says. See, this is the beauty. The day and night comes, we are all very conscious of that. And we are so conscious of the timing. If I speak 2 minutes more, some people may murmur, oh, today Swamiji has taken 2 minutes more. So conscious of the time. Can you make it like that? Can you go beyond the time consciousness? That for Sri Ramakrishna, day and night also could not be understood. What is the time now? He doesn't know. Of course, there was no clock with him. And he didn't know this timing also. That was the state of... So people said, I was insane, naturally. Everybody complained. Even they went to Rani Rasmani and told, what this Choto Bamun you have kept here? And he's a mad fellow, mad cat. That's what they used to tell. And the news did not stay there in Dakshineswar. It went even to Jairambati and Kamalpukur. Chandramani Devi, his mother, used to be worried. What has happened to my son? He went to Dakshineswar to do puja of Mother Kali and he has become insane. And think of Mother Sarada in Jairambati, young girl of 14-year-old. And she is hearing from others that her husband has become mad. And nobody is coming and telling her, your husband has become mad. When she goes for bath or for taking water, etc., to the riverside, the other girls of the village come there and they speak among themselves. Oh, do you know? Gossiping. So the gossiping, she comes and listens. And she comes and tells her father, how is your son-in-law in Dakshineswar? He understood. She's not telling him, I want to go and meet him. Such a beautiful way she puts it to him. He understands. Oh, my daughter wants to go and meet him because people are talking he's insane. And he's telling her, don't worry about that. He's not insane, I know. But she said, people are talking. And then when she comes and looks at him, well, he was quite sane person. He was not insane. So you can see that insanity of Sri Ramakrishna was a talked about matter in those days when he started seeing God in everything. We aspire to get that state. But are we able to tackle those type of situations that will come when you go into that ecstatic mood? How dangerous it is and how fearsome it is. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling that. What else could they say? And what they wanted to do, they made him married. That's all. If marriage is done, then his insanity will be cured. That's what they thought. And they married him also. Then he says how he went to in-laws' house. In that stage, he went to in-laws' house and they arranged Sankirtan. Kirtan was there. So, and singing God's name, and that induced him more and more to go into Samadhi, to look like an insane person. And one day, because people started calling him insane, he told Mother Kali, Ma Kali, if the landlords of this village come and show me respect, then I would believe that all my experiences are true. You can challenge God like that. Many devotees' life I have seen that they challenge God like that. If this is done, then I will consider that this is okay, like that. So they challenged, Sri Ramakrishna challenged, and next day the landlords of the village came and nicely gave him full respects, etc. Then he understood, then my experiences are not mere imagination of mind. My experiences are real. So he could understand that. And then he spoke about his seeing same divine mother in the young girls, so maidens. They are called the virgins and the kanyas. So the kanyas, the kanya puja, he did. When Durga Puja time, we do this Kumari Puja. That Kumaris, he brought them and then he made puja to them. And that is wonderful experiences, one after another, he says. And then Mathur Babu, seeing his insanity, took him to his palace, Jan Bazar Palace. There he kept him there. There, Mathur Babu's daughter, she was so wonderful for him. And then they never felt that Sri Ramakrishna was someone, a male person, whom you cannot be sharing everything. But she was so free with him. Even he used to accompany her to her husband's room, he says. That was simplicity, see. And even a slightest thing awakens God consciousness in me. When Rakal sits by my side and starts telling Krishna's name, it awakens God consciousness in me. I go into samadhi. So such is a wonderful way that Master repeated to all of us, his experiences. Though it is nostalgic for him, for us, it is a great lesson for us that how a person of God consciousness behaves in this world. How does he look into everything in this world, that we are able to grasp a little from the nostalgia of Sri Ramakrishna. Let us proceed next week. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampadrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamityam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.